Hello and welcome. This is Ayana Lahi, and I am so very, very thankful and happy that you're here with me today. We are jumping into today's episode of Be1, Be You. And in all of the Be1, Be You podcasts, we are exploring the depths of humanity, the depths of being a divine human being, and learning new tools, new perspectives in order to move through your life's greatest challenges into living from your true self. Today's theme is called What to Do When You Are Triggered. Being triggered means that you're having an emotional response. The defense system within inside of yourself is saying, back off. What's going on here? I don't want to feel what I'm feeling. I have no interest. I'm not ready for this. I'm in control of my reality. I do not want to have to feel hurt, sadness, fear, anger, grief. How dare you? What are you doing? Why are you doing this to me? Every time I'm with you, you do something or say something that makes me feel like I'm not good enough. There's nothing I can really do that makes me feel really good enough. Why are you doing this to me? Well, after a while, it's the same story, the same expression out of your precious mouth, out of your precious mind, who at some point in your past went through repetitive experiences, moments where you would be pushed into shutting down. And to deal with that shutdown, because possibly what you had to say was not received, the you that felt vivaciously alive in life had nowhere to express it but to live in your own world and create your own cocoon that shielded you from facing dysfunctions in the family, difficulties at school, anger that you didn't know where it came from, grief. So what do you do when you're triggered? When the emotional feelings deep inside of yourself that you have pushed aside, blocked, turned away from, ignored, denied, all of a sudden there's a pulse in there of pain. You're being triggered. Well, most people will put the blame onto their friend or partner, their lover, their husband, their wife, and blame them for the pain that they are feeling and actually put it on the other person. Now, yes, there are many situations where another person is subconsciously, intentionally hurting you, where their subconscious is not fully connected to their conscious mind and heart. And so they are using you in some way, taking your power, taking your energy, taking your creativity, rejecting you, but maybe smiling right at you, but not being really honest with what's coming up for them. Perhaps the light that you are is so bright that you're rejected. Perhaps your intelligence is brighter than others, and you are betrayed, rejected, somehow. Perhaps your mother wasn't there, your father wasn't there, but it's time to come out of denial that when you find yourself reacting, being defensive, using anger, instead of saying what you really feel inside, because anger's always the cover over always the cover over for a deeper emotion that has not been dealt with. So you hear me talk a lot in the podcasts and the teachings and spirit gateways about coming through your deepest hurts and wounds and the aggravations in your mind, the sanskaras, the patterns of behaviors that come from your own beliefs, the decisions that you concluded and came to because of how you thought about yourself and about life. Now, to come out of denial means you have to come through resistance, and resistance is something that all of life is really good at. There are plants that have thorns. There are birds with big beaks. And in every animal, every plant that exists in Divine Mother Nature, there are protective levels that are levels of resistance. Our immune system is a powerful system. It resists bacteria and viruses, degeneration to the body. You have to have it. You want it. You have to have the strength from within that can appear like you're being resistant, but actually you're being wise and smart. You're choosing not to hang out with a certain group of people. You're resisting. You don't want to use that drug. You realize that you can't have any more alcohol, that it just doesn't work for your consciousness anymore. So someone could say, hey, well, loosen up. You're so resistant. But actually that's having a boundary and really loving and caring for yourself. But when you are resistance against the truth of who you really are, that's a defiance to the spirit of God's source, the light that you are, the infinite intelligence that you are. You're choosing to empower the part of yourself to block the truth within you. So what do you do when you're triggered and you're having feelings and you don't want to have them? And you just want to stay with your work that day, or just avoid, or stay reading that novel you're reading. But deep inside you're sitting there and you're triggered, and you could even be watching a television show or a movie and you're feeling triggered from the day, and you have to go, wow, what's going on? And you want to track it. You want to find out what's really been opened. Are you afraid someone's really seeing you for who you are? Are you concerned that your false persona might be busted? Are you afraid that possibly you just can't get away with the same story anymore? We're living in a time where there's so much disruption in our minds, in our psyches, and all the talk about the truth and the untruth. What's truth and what's lies. You have to know yourself. You have to know why you get triggered. You have to be willing to learn how to discern, and to be able to discern what pain and sorrow and grief, anger, a madness that's inside of yourself by holding yourself back down, holding yourself captive, holding in your anger. You have to discern between what's yours and what's another person's. When you lose your boundaries, we all have to experience losing our boundaries in order to have them. And when we experience people walking through our energetic field, they walk through what's true to us, what our values are. And we all experience somehow, I'll say, being conned into leaving ourselves. Now that could be a really powerful trigger where you stand in yourself and you say, no, I'm not being pulled out of myself. And no, I'm not going to be working a 15-hour day. And you get triggered in order to take care of yourself, to say, I need something different. I need to show up for myself. I possibly even need a new job. I might even create my own business and become a consultant. I might shift companies. I might go back to school because I just need greater education and skills in a new interest field of mine or expansion of my present interest. People will use you if you let them. And when you get triggered, you must decide and go deep and come from a whole place, an integrated place where your mind, your heart, your belly are one, where you're thinking from a whole self. And I love to teach about 360-degree neurobiology, where your brain, your nervous system, your energy system, your physical, and your emotional, spiritual self are one. You're grokked in, you're connected in to the source of light that you are. So right this moment, turn the light on. In any part of your body that can have its light turned on really fast. If it's in your genitals, bring that light to your heart. If the light turns on in your head, bring it to your heart. If the light turns on in your lower belly, bring it to your solar plexus and begin to connect. Understand the opposite. Understand that you are choosing your polar opposite within inside of you. If your polar opposite is the shadow of yourself, the part of yourself that's unaware, unenlightened, and is filled in anything from darkness to anger to despair to hatred to judgment, criticism of yourself or others, make that your polar opposite. Let yourself create a conscious trigger and receive it without rejecting it, because you have a picture in your head of how you want to be seen, how you want to be experienced. You might need to live for approval. You might have created a system with your family structure, the family system that you were raised in, where you now have an energetic system that keeps you in control. Now, when you get triggered, it's going to take you out of control. But you can make use of that moment of being taken out of your control as an awakening moment. And you can actually observe. You can actually really assess if you're fearing being taken out of your rigidity structures, your control systems, because they keep you safe. They keep you intact. They keep anyone from really getting to know you. It's so easy to blame someone else and leave yourself. But when you're being triggered and you're really in yourself, you're going to get the lesson. You're going to see, wow, I need to be more detached here. I need to let go of my expectation on A, B, C, D, and E, and F, and G. I need to let go. I need to be accepting of where the person is at while I'm sharing my truth, for instance. If you are in the presence of someone who is digging, jabbing, and trying to get you to open, you need to ask them why. But perhaps you're so shut and you don't even know it, and that your control system is so tight that you really aren't letting in your lover, your partner. Maybe you're so open to the wrong people, and maybe it keeps you in a state of being victim and always unhappy. And so you choose triggers that keep you down, because it keeps you from having to reconnect into the light that you are. How can I be more free in myself to open to the truth, the source of love? Truth and love are always connected. If truth is being spouted by someone and it doesn't come from a humanity, a truth level, Hu means God. It's a sound, it's a frequency. So when you're truly being human, you are resonating in the God frequency within yourself, God being infinite source, infinite light, infinite intelligence that is the source of where you come from. So when you leave that as a child, teenager, as an adult, because it's just all too much. Life is just too painful. It's too filled in suffering, unexpected circumstances. You just want things to be safe. You want things to stay the same. And yet, inside you feel like you're going crazy. Or you look around you and you see people are shut down and they don't know who they are. What are you going to do? You want to trigger yourself with that opposite part of yourself to wake yourself up. And you want to get real conscious with how you're triggering yourself and choosing people and situations to trigger you, to wake you up. Because the ultimate purpose of a trigger is to wake you up. In order to help you speak your truth, in order for you to let go of giving your power, employing the ego part, the part of yourself you created to take the place of you, because at one point you never felt like you were enough, that you really couldn't do what was being asked of you. And perhaps you were a dreamer, a visionary, an artiste, a creative. You were so connected into another dimension, maybe you just didn't want to play the game here. So embrace the opposite part in yourself. Let the pure life of nature, love, beauty, art, the birds singing, let it trigger the beauty in you, the joy in you, the love in you, the strength, the power. Because when you start blaming somebody else because you feel triggered, it's really showing you how weak you are. But when you stand in the light that you are, not in the defensiveness of your ego protector, who you think is you, but pay attention to how you can run from your own truth and trigger your own truth. That's being on your spiritual path. And where God's source, your inner guides. I'm not talking woo-woo, we're talking about every person at birth is given 3 guides, at least. And during your life, you've got that spiritual guidance. And they're going to trigger you. They're going to blow up a lot of your conceptions and misperceptions about yourself, who you are, so that you wake up out of your dream. And that's an amazing trigger. And enjoy being triggered, but watch how you respond. Because when you open from the pure heart, the pure innocence, the pure joy and the pure love that you are, you have an incredible opportunity to make a giant leap. Spiritual awakening and spiritual realization are all possible in this lifetime. It begins with changing your perceptions, not even going into the same zone meditating, because you can get stuck there. So invite God in, invite the universe of truth, of higher light, to blast what's false. And each time you're blasted open, cry, laugh, and give thanks. Because why repeat the same old, and get the same results? I send you courage and light. I send you joy and freedom. I hold that space for you to jump through your own resistances into the magnificent true power of divine oneness that's within you. Sending you all my love and inviting you to check out iyanalahi.com, iyanalahi.com, and immerse yourself. Sign up if you haven't yet received the weekly Saturday morning delivery into your inbox, Living from Your Wild Heart. a 15 to 20 minute wild adventure into you through a teaching and movement and meditation. Check out the courses and you'll find something there for your next steps. Always feel free to email me. I'd love to hear from you. Ayana@ayanalahi.com, and sending you much love. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take good care.